I know I said in my Titanosaurus video that I always pick my shirts off the top, but it was fun showing off a custom thing. Lamar Davis lent this to me. I had to wear this one to the gym. I'm sure more people will understand this reference, but I thought it would be appropriate for this video considering the subject. I am once again here to talk about my favorite subject in the world, Godzilla, Save the Earth, Melee! Thank God I did not wake up any of the dogs. Otherwise, they would not have shut the hell up. But there's a particular character that I wish to talk about, and I'm trying to be smart with this one. If you're wondering, Henry, why aren't you talking about more of the obvious monsters? That's because if I record this in advance, it's not going to get immediately BTFO'd by the dev team releasing information. I have to clarify a thought though, because I was talking with my brother on the phone about this yesterday. It is my utmost hope that the dev team is not rushing anything. Just focus on getting the original cast into the game, and then choose your battles wisely and try to get the ones in the game that are the easiest to get over to the game. Just because I really care about this project and I hope it survives. Before I start talking about the character in question, we're probably going to need to go over the archive list of monsters that were voted on in that poll on Twitter. And there's a monster manual that I think we should do first because it'll set it up a little bit. So obviously I have yet to speak about Heisei Godzilla in specific, but I'm going to a little bit here just because it's relevant to the character I want to talk about.
It's a painstaking, arduous task that seems to go on and on forever, and just when you think things are going your way, nothing happens.
His moveset page says they're going to make him the game's archetypal heavyweight. I imagine that means he's going to have one or two moves that are going to have super armor, so you're not going to be able to punch through them. For those of you who don't know anything about fighting games, super armor basically means that your character will not flinch if they are hit with an attack during that, unless the move has more potency than the armor has. Which is great, because that is what the Heisei Godzilla was like. Obviously, they're going to ignore the fact that most of the Heisei movies, he's just beam spamming everybody. I love the fact that he basically has... Sorry, it's not named the Power Walk. It's going to be named the Boss Walk. At least if I use it, it's the Boss Walk. Okay, thank God they're keeping the spiral array. Okay, so the last sentence on this is actually relevant, because I'm going to suggest an alternative, and the dev team is completely free to ignore me. I'm just some dumbass with a YouTube channel. Could also be equivalent, because I don't know exactly how long mine would work. Anyways, let's get to that. So, does anyone notice anything at all, aside from the fact that we're getting the Stan Winston design as an alternate skin, and we're getting Snow Godzilla from that anime that I never watched. So Heisei Godzilla's rage attack is that he will turn into the Super Godzilla form, which is from the Super Nintendo game of the same name. Get it? Super Godzilla, Super Nintendo. Man, they were really cooking with that. Anyway, this is what he looked like in the original game, but Super Godzilla is one of those things that when I was young, and I found out about that, I loved Sonic the Hedgehog, so I liked Super Sonic. So the fact there was a Super Godzilla blew my mind. If I were to pick, and dev team, you can only blame yourself for this one, you open the floodgates. I know this isn't planned at the moment, but I would love to see the Godzilla Neo version of Super Godzilla thrown in here somewhere. Just because I love Matt Frank and all things Godzilla Neo, so this design was amazing as a child. I'm not gonna expect it, and I don't know how much the dev team wants to step on Matt Frank's toes, but it would be really cool and I would appreciate it. I'd probably only ever use a skin that uses this version of the Super Godzilla transformation, so just putting it out there. But I'm glad he's in the game. The suggestion I was gonna have, personally, what I would do. So they made it so that you can build up your rage meter, kind of like how in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate you can get a final smash over time. What I would do is just have him transform into Super Godzilla when you get a full meter, because I'm presuming they have the same moveset. And in competitive, you can just disable the rage meter, and then have the rage meter deplete over time, and then when it's gone, you just turn back into regular Heisei Godzilla. But that might be how it is already. I just don't know how long the meter depletes. I just don't think you should pin it to a specific length of time, because God forbid Heisei Godzilla becomes like top tier. You might have to patch it and nerf him later on. So having the manual specifically say 30 seconds is not a good idea. Also, I apologize in advance. I do not have the credit for this. I found it on Twitter. I think it was posted by like Super Godzilla Gaming or something. This is the kind of thing that Super Godzilla can do, and I imagine it'll be in there somewhere. They'll probably add like particle effects to the standard Heisei Godzilla attack animations. Anyway, the fact that he's in the game relates to a monster that was in the poll. So let's dig in here, shall we? Okay, I'm just gonna scroll through this list. It's in the description, so I'm gonna cut to the important part, so if you want to look at the rest of it, there you go. If you can't tell because of the unloaded GIF, this is Bagan, the original villain of Super Godzilla. Now, personally, I don't know much of the backstory of Bagan, and believe me, I'm gonna explain in a second, but he's really strong, and Godzilla has to turn Super Godzilla in order to fight him. Based on the gameplay snippet that I watched on YouTube just before making this, the humans basically have to help Godzilla go Goku by sharing energy with him. So Bagan is supposed to be this really powerful entity within the Godzilla and broader kaiju universes. But there's a little bit more to Bagan. He was supposed to be in a bunch of movies that got canceled, and it's kind of a running joke that he never makes it into anything. But at the same time, there is a contingent of Godzilla fans who refuse to give up on this guy. Let me describe it thusly. Bagan is Moby Dick, and Bagan fans are like a swarm of Captain Ahab. But here's the problem. It turns out Bagan, being a whale, was one of the two whales that got taken from the present to the future in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Admiral, there be whales here.
So Bagan fans impotently struggle deluding themselves and trying to delude others into believing that he will be in something someday. Any day now. And while I'm knocking it, I do understand to an extent, because Bagan is really cool. At least this version of him is. This is from the Godzilla Movie Studio Tour game. I don't know shit about it, other than that Bagan's model is in it. You can look at it, you can listen, you can observe. Now, anyone who knows Bagan probably knows about the Toho Kingdom website, and anyone who knows about the Toho Kingdom website and knows about Bagan's relation to it probably knows about the KWC story series on Toho Kingdom. It's basically just a bunch of fan fictions where fans write about different monsters fighting each other, and one in particular is infamous. Probably any Godzilla fan who was young during the era when this was initially posted knows who Bagan is. And I imagine that's where a lot of the reverence for the character comes from that leads the Bagan fans to act the way they do. Full credit to Thomas Fairchild and all the people at Toho Kingdom that made it possible for this to get posted. You shaped a generation, and by generation I mean the people who were young enough to not be millennials but old enough to not be core Gen Z. I'm not going to go through the whole story, obviously. I would highly recommend you just read it on your own. But let me kind of give you the basic version. It's Bagan. And you see, he fights everyone. Remember when I said in the original Super Godzilla, Godzilla basically had to pull a Goku?
Everyone, I need you all to lend me your energy!
And get the humans to share their energy with him? Well, if Godzilla is Goku, Bagan is the classic Broly. And I don't think he was portrayed that way in the original Super Godzilla game, but it's one of those things where the fans kind of took the character and made him iconic for being something other than what he actually was in the game he debuted in. And this design is the one that's associated with that. So personally, I would go with this design if they in fact add Bagan to the game. If they add him, it's not going to be for a while. There's far more important stuff. I know. Bagan fans, pipe down. But it would be cool to see this character get into something modern and also really good. Because of the fact he's been canceled so many times, and no, I don't mean Twitter canceled, although in this day and age I wouldn't even be surprised, to be honest. He has quite a few designs that could be alternative skins for him. And since I'm talking about him, I might as well go over this, right? This one. I didn't know this until I looked on the Wikizilla page, but apparently there was a direct-to-DVD short film involving Mothra fighting Bagan, and this was the design that he got in that. So I guess that's one. There's also this guy from the concept art for Bagan. This is concept art for the second version of Bagan. This is closer to the one that we all know. The first version was kind of like a Frankenstein's monster of a bunch of random shit. It had like 3 heads and everything. Look it up on your own time. Anyway, that about does it for today. I could probably talk about a lot of other monsters, but I figured this was a way to kind of 1-2 with the Heisei Godzilla and Bagan. What is to be the fate of Bagan? Will he languish forever in unused character hell? Or maybe Godzilla Save the Earth Melee will actually put him into the game. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Save the Earth Melee. Please like and comment. Thank you for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one.